is only down in the 20s this morning, and the high is only going to be in the 50s, upper 50s. So I'll give you a little tour of what I have done with this framing. This metal hoop structure is from an inexpensive Vivor greenhouse, and it's 10 by 20 feet long, and I had put this mesh and all of these pots here, these were all indeterminate tomato plants that climb, and always on the end I have my basil. I plant basil in these. All of these pots here were tomatoes, but I will not be planting tomatoes in them again. I will trade them off with other pots. So I rotate the plant. These plants down the center here were all peppers. They were sweet peppers, pimento, jalapenos, hot peppers. And on this side, I had climbing like pole beans, cucumbers, squash, things like that. And then along the fence here, I had all my pots with my onions and carrots. This is an electric poultry fence that we put up because the rabbits and the deer eat everything in your garden around here if you don't electrify. Here's how I made my wicking tubs. I took some of the landscape cover and I drew circles on there and then used a little butane torch to cut them out, because if you just cut them with the scissors, they will unravel, fray on the edges. But if you use a torch or something hot, it will melt the fabric, the landscape fabric, and then it won't fray on you. The landscape fabric has little holes that allows water and air to pass through, but it will keep the dirt out of the drain pipe. So I attached the circles to the piping, the perforated piping, with zip ties. So what I have done is I put the pipe down in there and then a little cross piece, and then in this hole the PVC pipe goes in there. Then I put the soil in there, and this PVC pipe is, I'm going to take this off the tripod so I can get closer. The PVC pipe goes in that little cut I made in the drain, and you place the PVC pipe opposite of your drain hole that's in the bottom, which is about 5/8 inch. So in the summertime, when you water your plants, you put the hose in here. And you just stand here like you're filling the car with gas. And then when some water starts to come out of the drain hole, then you know you've put in enough and you stop. The drain hole is about halfway up the height of this drain pipe. And so water will stay in the bottom until the plant uses it all. The water will stay in the bottom, and then the soil that's down on the sides here will wick up any water that's down there and bring it up to the top of the pot, and that's called a wicking tub. I discovered I still have ice in some rainwater in one of the empty buckets over here. So we're gonna put up the plastic cover today, and that'll help warm up and thaw the soil that's in these pots, because they're still frozen down inside. Even though it's April 20th, we still have some freezing ground and ice. So I'll show you what it looks like after we get the top on. It's a pretty windy day out here, and that actually works to our benefit for putting up the plastic. The wind helps us blow it up over the arch. And then we moved the buckets out till we got the plastic on. Then we moved the buckets back on the flap on the bottom, and some of them are sitting right on the bottom frame to hold down this unit. Otherwise, I think being more like a tent, it would just fly away. As you can see, I have some Gorilla Tape on some parts where a couple years ago we didn't have it attached down with the pots, and the wind came and blew the one side up and tore the edge. And unfortunately, Vivor doesn't sell replacement tops. You have to buy a whole new unit. So I just used some Gorilla Tape and taped it up. The nice thing is that I like about this is the reinforcement webbing inside the plastic. So it's really strong. The only part that tore on us was a seam, a sewn seam like this. But the plastic itself has been very sturdy for the last 3-4 years. I think we've had this. And there's windows here where it will roll up, and there's screening so the bugs can't get in there. But you can have ventilation when it gets too hot. Oops, somebody's calling me. You can see by the little flaps how windy it is here. It's very chilly too, but now that we have the top on, it will help to thaw and warm up the soil that in the pots that are inside. And gradually, as I plant, my first things that will be coming out will be onions and other cold hardy plants. And as I get those done, then I will move other pots inside. And when it's warm enough, then I'll plant my tomatoes. And before we know it, it will look like this. These photos were from a couple years ago. But this is how my little garden grows. I hope you like this little video and learning how to make a wicking tub. Please like and subscribe to get notifications of future videos. Goodbye for now.